Now, Adam Silver has caused quite a stir in WNBA world because he just went on the Today Show and he was talking about the WNBA CBA, and here's what he had to say. He said, "I think share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA."
Adam Silver just dropped a nuclear bomb on the WNBA and nobody saw it coming. The NBA commissioner went on national television and basically told the entire women's basketball world that their 2026 season might not even happen. Yeah, you heard that right. The man who controls the purse strings of women's basketball just hinted that he might pull the plug on everything.
They are going to get a big increase in this cycle of collective bargaining, and they deserve it. So what he's talking about here is the revenue share that the players have been fighting for. So essentially what the players have said in these negotiations is that they want to be paid more when it comes to their salary, but they also want a higher percentage of the revenue split, because currently they are only getting 9% of that revenue split. But we have went over it a million times, you guys. The structure of the WNBA, the finances in the WNBA, and the structure of the finances in the NBA.
But here's where it gets absolutely wild. This all started when Silver appeared on the Today Show to talk about the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement. What was supposed to be a routine interview about player salaries turned into a complete disaster. Silver looked the host straight in the eye and said something that made every WNBA player's blood boil. He basically told them that they shouldn't expect to get the same revenue split as NBA players. The WNBA players currently get only 9% of total revenue, while NBA players get roughly 50%. When asked if the women deserved more, Silver's response was brutal. He said the share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA. Translation, stop asking for what you can't have. And that's when everything exploded. The WNBA Players Association completely lost their mind.
The NBA, as you know, they're calling for, players in the WNBA are calling for more money. They 9%, I believe, accordingly. They get 9% of total revenue compared to roughly 50% of the revenue of NBA players. Should they be getting a larger share of the revenue in the WNBA?
Yes. I mean, I think the share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA. I think you should look at it in absolute numbers in terms of what they're making, and they are going to get a big increase in this cycle of collective bargaining.
They fired back with the most petty social media post in professional sports history. These grown women who were supposed to be negotiating million-dollar contracts decided to act like teenagers on Instagram. They posted a screenshot of Silver's interview with the caption, "Don't want to share Adam Silver," and tagged him directly. Let that sink in for a second. The official players union account went full savage mode on the man who literally keeps their paychecks coming. It's the equivalent of biting the hand that feeds you, then asking for seconds. But wait, it gets even more ridiculous. The league spokesperson immediately called the union statement misleading. They claimed the WNBA had already offered an uncapped revenue sharing plan tied to league growth. Basically, they told the players to learn how to read before throwing tantrums on social media. Now, Commissioner Kathy Engelberg is stuck in the middle of this mess. She's trying to calm down angry players while not publicly fighting with her own boss. Silver technically controls most of the money flowing into the WNBA, so picking a fight with him is career suicide. Here's the part that nobody wants to talk about. The WNBA doesn't even fully own itself. The league only controls 42% of its own operation.
What the solution is. Now, in true WNBPA fashion, they decided to clap back on their Instagram account to Adam Silver's remarks, and they posted this. They said, "Don't want to share at Adam Silver," so they literally tagged Adam Silver, used a screenshot from this interview, and posted this in their Instagram story. You guys, I do not know what they think doing that will accomplish. You know how there's that meme where it's like 0 days of whatever? It's like 0 days of being a professional sports organization. Like, what does that do? What does that do?
The NBA owns another 40%, and outside investors own the remaining 18%.
I don't understand what posting this does besides stir up more drama. People are like, "Ooh, look at them." Look, it's like, no, we're acting like children. Should be acting like a professional organization. You have to work out these things at the negotiating table, not on social media. Like, this is so childish to me. And when I saw this, it just reminded me of how draining it is sometimes to cover this league, because it's like seriously? Truly? Really?
That means even if Engelberg wanted to give players a 50-50 revenue split, she literally doesn't have the authority to do it. Silver's threat about canceling the 2026 season isn't just empty talk. He's holding all the cards and everyone knows it. Now here's where things get absolutely insane. The entire chaos revolves around one person who probably had no idea she was about to become the center of a billion-dollar war. Caitlin Clark's rookie season turned the WNBA upside down, and now everyone's fighting over who deserves credit for her success. Clark filled arenas that used to be half empty. She boosted television ratings by 400%. Jersey sales went through the roof. Suddenly, casual fans who couldn't name 5 WNBA players were buying tickets and watching games. The league finally had something it never had before: mainstream attention. But here's the brutal truth nobody wants to admit. When Clark got injured earlier this season, everything collapsed faster than a house of cards. Ratings dropped off a cliff. Talk shows stopped mentioning the league. ESPN's WNBA coverage flopped so hard they canceled one of their new shows after just a few weeks. That injury gave the owners a reality check that hit harder than a brick to the face. Without Clark, the hype disappeared overnight. All those packed arenas and trending hashtags meant nothing when she wasn't on the court. And you can bet Adam Silver noticed every single number. He's probably sitting in his office thinking that this proves exactly why the WNBA shouldn't get a 50% revenue share. Take one player out of the equation and the entire business model falls apart. Meanwhile, the players are using Clark's success to demand more money. They're pointing to the crowds and ratings saying they deserve bigger paychecks because the league is finally growing. The problem is they're saying we when the numbers clearly show it's all about her. Not only that, but the timing couldn't be worse. The collective bargaining agreement deadline hits on Halloween, and trust me, that's going to be scary for everyone involved. If the players dig in and refuse to play without a new deal, the WNBA could face its first lockout in league history. Every owner, investor, and sponsor is quietly panicking right now. They've seen what happens when Clark isn't playing. They know the league's entire growth story depends on one person staying healthy and relevant. Let's take a moment to rewind and understand just how fragile this situation really is. The WNBA has never made a consistent profit in its nearly 3-decade history. Even with Clark filling arenas and breaking viewership records, the league is still losing money every season. So when players demand a bigger cut of the revenue, they're essentially asking for a bigger piece of a pie that doesn't exist. Silver's threat about the 2026 season isn't just negotiation tactics. He's looking at a league that depends entirely on NBA funding to survive, and now the players want to bite the hand that feeds them. Here's where the plot thickens even more. The WNBA Players Association didn't just stop at their petty Instagram post. They've been throwing shade left and right, acting more like high school drama queens than professional athletes negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts. Every statement they release sounds like it was written by someone who learned negotiation tactics from Twitter fights. The union keeps accusing the league of running out the clock on negotiations. They claim management is hiding the real financial numbers, as if there's some secret vault of profits sitting in a New York office. One player even had the audacity to say that the NBA is using them to make money. Reality check. The NBA has been funding the WNBA to keep it alive for almost 30 years. But let's dig into the real numbers that nobody wants to discuss. The WNBA just quadrupled their media deal to about $260 million. That sounds impressive until you realize it's pocket change compared to the NBA's billions. The league's entire revenue stream is smaller than what some individual NBA players make in endorsement deals. Yet somehow the players think they deserve the same percentage split as NBA stars who generate exponentially more money. It's mathematical insanity dressed up as social justice. What makes this even more ridiculous is that both sides are using Caitlin Clark's name like a bargaining chip in a poker game. Silver points to her success to justify why the league shouldn't raise revenue sharing, saying she's the reason for the boom, not the overall structure. The players use the exact same example to demand more money, claiming she represents their collective value. Poor Clark is probably at home shooting threes while her name gets tossed around in boardrooms she never asked to be in. She's become the centerpiece of every argument, the proof of success, the excuse for higher pay, and the leverage in every negotiation. And here's the kicker that exposes everything. Even retired WNBA players are admitting the truth. Rebecca Lobo recently said that in the past, there was always a real chance the NBA could pull the plug and say this is too much. But now these franchises are worth too much and these women are worth too much. Translation: the only reason they're worth anything now is because of one player's popularity. You can feel the panic behind those words. Everyone knows the truth, but nobody wants to say it out loud. Meanwhile, the coaching drama adds another layer of chaos. Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White got caught lying about Clark's injury status. Doctors came forward and exposed that White had been feeding fans made-up injury updates for months. She kept saying Clark was almost ready to return when medical professionals had already cleared her to play. The whole situation became so embarrassing that fans started calling it the Caitlyn cover-up. Now let's talk about the power struggle that's tearing everything apart. Commissioner Kathy Engelberg is caught between two ticking time bombs. On one side, she has angry players who think she's out of touch with their demands. On the other side, she has Adam Silver quietly reminding her who really controls the money. This isn't just a business disagreement anymore. It's turned personal, and both leaders are running out of patience. Silver is tired of the WNBA's internal drama spilling into the press every other week. Engelberg is desperate to prove she can run the league independently without constant NBA interference. But here's what nobody's talking about behind closed doors. Silver has been getting pressure from NBA owners who are questioning why they're still propping up a league that can't turn a profit after nearly 3 decades. Some of them are quietly asking if the WNBA is worth the headache, especially when the players keep publicly disrespecting the very people keeping them employed. The threat of canceling the 2026 season isn't just about money, it's about respect and basic business sense. Silver knows that if he gives in to every demand now, the players will just come back asking for more in the next negotiation cycle. What's even more insane is that the players seem completely oblivious to their precarious position. They're acting like they have leverage when the entire league could disappear tomorrow if Silver decides he's done dealing with the drama. The NBA has been bleeding money on the WNBA for decades, and the only thing keeping it alive is the hope that it might eventually become profitable. Clark's success gave everyone false confidence. Suddenly, players thought they were in a position to make demands instead of being grateful for the opportunity to play professional basketball in America. They forgot that one good season doesn't erase decades of financial losses. Let's be brutally honest about what happens next. If there's no deal by Halloween, the 2026 season is in serious jeopardy. Silver isn't bluffing when he talks about pulling the plug. He's done it before with other ventures that weren't working, and he'll do it again if necessary. The players' union can post all the sarcastic memes they want, but social media sass doesn't pay the bills. The NBA does, and if they keep biting the hand that feeds them, they might find themselves looking for new jobs sooner than expected. Not only that, but the ripple effects would be devastating. Sponsors would flee faster than rats from a sinking ship. Television networks would quietly drop coverage. All those headlines about women's sports finally booming would age worse than milk left in the sun. The league's entire empowerment image is at risk. The same story they've been selling about women's basketball finally thriving could backfire spectacularly if there's no 2026 season. And here's the final twist that makes this whole mess even more pathetic. Every day brings new reports of tension between Engelberg and Silver. What started as a few offhand remarks about money has turned into a full-scale meltdown inside the WNBA. It's less leadership disagreement and more like a power tug of war between two people who should be on the same team. The ugliest part is how both sides are right and both are wrong at the same time. Silver knows the league survives on NBA support and hasn't made consistent profit since day one. Without NBA money and owners backing them, there is no league. So when players demand a 50% revenue split, he's not being cold or dismissive. He's being realistic about splitting money that doesn't actually exist. But here's where Engelberg's nightmare really begins. She's the face of the league who has to smile for cameras while players accuse management of being greedy. She can't admit what Silver can say openly, that the business side is barely keeping its head above water. If she does, sponsors panic, fans lose faith, and the whole growth story collapses overnight. The coaching scandal with Stephanie White just added gasoline to an already burning fire. When it came out that she had been lying about Clark's injury status, it made the entire organization look incompetent. Fans realized they couldn't trust anything coming from official sources. Now we're seeing the real consequences of all this chaos. The Fever's comment sections look like war zones. Every social media post, whether it's congratulating interns or wishing players happy birthday, gets flooded with people typing "Stop lying about Caitlyn" underneath. That's what happens when you insult people's intelligence and then expect them to keep supporting you. The media is finally waking up too. Reporters who used to back the organization are starting to turn. Headlines are calling it a credibility crisis, which is journalist code for "we caught you lying and everyone knows it." What makes this entire situation so tragic is that it could have been avoided with basic honesty and competent leadership. Instead of being transparent about challenges, they tried to fake optimism and manipulate narratives. The classic "she's fine, just resting" routine that nobody believed. The internet turned everything into jokes and memes, but there's always truth behind the punchlines. People started calling it the Caitlyn cover-up, and while it's hilarious to watch unfold, it's also sad because honest communication should have been the first option. Let's take a moment to understand the bigger picture. This isn't just about one season or one contract negotiation. This is about whether the WNBA can survive as a legitimate professional sports league, or if it's destined to remain a charity case that depends on NBA handouts forever. Silver's threat about 2026 is his way of forcing everyone to face reality before it's too late. If you're enjoying this content and want to see more behind the scenes drama from the sports world, please hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what other stories you want me to cover next.